freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 426 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearmsauctions.com, where you set the price on guns, ammo, and accessories. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is electing those who oversee elections, and our guest is Rob Canterbury. Rob is America's first constitutional conservative candidate for Arizona Maricopa County Board of Supervisors in District 4, currently held by Clint Hickman. Rob grew up on a farm, hunting, fishing, camping, gardening, and gaining a deep understanding of what the conservation of our natural resources and many other great lifelong lessons. Rob retired from a distinguished career in the Navy after serving 20 years in the Navy under the Naval Special Warfare units. Rob currently works in the private security industry and serves as a sergeant at arms for both the Maricopa County Republican Committee and the Arizona GOP. Thank you, and thank you for your service, Ron.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor to be here today.
Absolutely, and welcome to the show. And it was this Naval Special Warfare units. I just wanted to be sure. It sounded a little like welfare units.
Yeah,
just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different thing, right?
It's Monday every day for me when you get this age.
So it is actually kind of a rare thing when a county board of supervisors makes national headlines. But here in Arizona, I guess we just got lucky or something, because after the last two elections, people all across the nation have heard a lot about the work that our BOS, Board of Supervisors, does or is supposed to do. So give us a quick civics lesson. What is the function of the MSBOS?
Yes, ma'am. So throughout all the counties in Arizona, the counties are led by their county supervisors, which we are the governing board of the county, right? Where the state legislators is a governing body for the state, we are that for our individual counties. And you're right. We do oversee the elections here, and it's kind of not a good thing that the 5 current members have been on national news for the last 2 years since the 2020 election, really. But you know, that's politics in a nutshell. Some good, some bad. Along with the elections, the Board of Supervisors approved the county budget, sets the county tax rates. They lease county-owned land and property buildings for yearly terms up to a 25-year term limits. And I think that's probably the more of the important things that people care about or want to know about the Board of Supervisors. They're important jobs and roles. Now they control everything from approving a liquor's license to a local establishment, all the way to overseeing our elections.
And it's so funny because there are certain elected offices that are maybe not even an afterthought for people, you know, like we super hyper focus on at the state level, let's say the governor and, you know, who our state representative is and our state senator. But then you get to like the Corporation Commission, you get to like the Board of Supervisors, and people are like, I don't even know what they do. So, you know, if I've seen their name on a billboard somewhere, all right, I'll go ahead and check that. And I think that correct me if I'm wrong, is this is Board of Supervisors a nonpartisan where people don't have to declare their party, or am I mistaken about that?
So it is not a nonpartisan position. Right now, we currently have 4 Republicans and 1 Democrat. A lot of people will tell you we got 5 Democrats in office.
I've heard that.
And, yes, ma'am. And, everybody wants all 5 to be replaced. Fortunately for us, Bill Gates has already said he's not going to run for re-election. So that opens up 1 seat. I am the only other official candidate besides the incumbent, which is Clint Hickman in District 4. I believe District 3 has a candidate that's challenging the incumbent, and I think that's the only districts that have multiple candidates.
Well, and when you see all the things, the budget, tax rate, the
Property
elections,
taxes.
yeah. I mean, these are important jobs. We've got to know that we're electing people, hiring people with our votes who are truly going to represent us as constituents, and not just either ignore that part of your ballot or just tick a name for the heck of ticking a name. So I'm glad that you and I are talking today and helping to educate even myself and Dan and our audience. But what was it that caused you to toss your name into the hat? Because politics at any level is a little bit of a snake pit.
Yes, absolutely. I go back to the President Reagan's speech at the beginning of your show. Freedom is never more than 1 generation away from extinction. That's actually one of my favorite quotes. I actually have that on the front of my first campaign business card. A veteran like me, people who fought overseas, and a lot of your guests are veterans who have served overseas. We know what freedom is like. We know how important our freedoms are. If you go serve in places like Iraq or Afghanistan, some European countries, South American countries, Cuba, I've walked the streets of Cuba. I've seen what communism has done to Cuba. I've been to Iraq. I've seen what dictatorship does to a nation. And we're on the fast track of getting that here. May not be fully developed in our lifetime, but our children will definitely live under a dictator. The only places that's going to have lights at night is going to be the cities that's owned by the rich, and the rest of us, we're going to live in dark, eating the crumbs of what the rich and powerful don't want to eat. And that's just something. When I look to the future of what my children or grandchildren will be living in, it scares me half to death. And we need people of integrity and honorable service to fight this fight, to stand on that line and say, your leftist ideology or your communist plan, it's not going to come to Maricopa County. It's not going to come to Arizona. And that's the reason I've always been interested in politics. I've lived and worked in Washington, D.C. on a federal level. And I tell you, a lot of people probably told you that Washington, D.C. is the nastiest place you ever want to be. But also on a local level, the local politics is the nastiest place you want to be. But again, there's got to be people that go down there to our office and clean it up. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that I'm that guy.
Well, Rob, the most important job that I see that the Arizona Maricopa County Board of Supervisors would have is to making sure that we have integrity in our elections, overseeing our elections. It doesn't seem like they oversaw anything last election. They didn't see anything. And how do we, we can't fix all the other stuff until we fix that. Our elections have to be, the people have to know that the elections are fair. How do we fix it? How do we fix it?
There's a lot of ways, sir. For day one, I'm going to go to office and I'm going to fight to restore the trust that the people have in our office. Like you said, the people have to be able to trust us to do the right thing with their voice, with their money. And that starts with elections. We've heard stolen elections have consequences, and we've seen that. But there's a lot of ways to fix our elections. People want to think that the legislators run the elections in the state. It's actually ran by the counties.
Mm-hmm.
The county supervisors brought in Dominion in 2019. If they wanted to bring a different system, they could do so in 2024. And that doesn't have to get approved by the Secretary of State. That doesn't have to get approved by the governor. If they say we want another system for 24, they bring it in. Simple as that. And a funny fact is, maybe not a lot of people know this, but Maricopa County is the only county that uses Dominion. Every other 14 county uses the system called ESS. Now we already have, yes, sir. So we already have that relationship with another elections voting machines and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen the last two elections filled with controversy and conspiracy. So if the current county supervisors would listen to the will of the people and say they don't trust our elections in 24, so that's probably going to make a lot of people not even vote. So if I was on the board, I would say let's move to another system. Let's move to the system that every other county in our state uses that hasn't had any conspiracies or misprinted papers or rejected ballots and everything else. Let's bring that system in and see if we can do better than Dominion. Again, it's just the trust that the people have to have in the government body that's not there anymore. And that's my primary goal and my primary responsibility when I get elected is to bring that trust back to the people.
It's a shame because Maricopa County controls the whole state. So all these other counties are voting with the correct machines, but it doesn't matter because Maricopa County has enough influence, enough voters that it doesn't matter what the others vote. And that's a shame. That's terrible. So, I think that's the most important thing. And you would have my vote because I want to clean the elections.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And you're right. There's 4 out of the 50 states, there's 4 states that one county within that state has majority of that state's population. There's Maricopa County, Clark County, Nevada, Honolulu County in Hawaii, and Newcastle County in Delaware. 3 of those counties are strong Democrats. So we know how they're going to lean or how they're going to vote for presidential elections or their governor elections. Mm-hmm. Maricopa County and the 28 or 29 elections that Arizona has had since statehood, Maricopa County has supported 9 Democrats for president and only 2 since 1948. That's Eisenhower and Clinton. And third, if you want to say that Maricopa County officially supported Joe Biden. So we are a red county. I think Yavapai County is the only county that has voted with Arizona more times than Maricopa County, and that's only by 1 more election as far as how the county votes, the state votes. So you're right, that we are the national vote here in Arizona. We are the state vote, which more times out of not, whoever wins Maricopa County wins, their state Senate seat or their U.S. Senate seat, the president for the state.
Wow,
That's
really
well. It's so it's such a difficult topic. The only shows that we've done that have ever been flagged or pulled by YouTube, we're talking about elections and Dominion. So hopefully this will make it through the wire, right? Because you're a candidate and your voice should be heard. And I had to actually argue that with YouTube at one point, that I said it was a candidate who was discussing what would she do if she is elected. And part of her job would have been, election issues. And so they took that and they put the show back up. But the level of censorship about this topic right there should send everybody's spidey senses tingling. But it is such a difficult topic because people, even Republicans, want to say, look, let it drop. It is what it is. The election, you can't, undo anything
fix it
about
later.
the old election. We'll fix it later. And I'm like, look, this isn't about me saying, no, we need to put Trump in. This isn't about me saying, no, we need to put Carrie Lake in. This is me saying, look, there's something that smells wrong, right? There's something that seems broken. And why would we ignore that? Because we're afraid to, talk about the particular candidates who are lightning rods, right? Let's fix the process so that when people take time off work and stand in line in the heat, right, to cast their votes, that they believe that it matters. Because I think there is a wide swath of people that, even if they're the ones that are like, whatever, it'll all work out in the end. I think even that they feel like we don't know that we can really trust it. And so I like your idea that there's another system. But are there other things that we can do to restore people's confidence in this representative republic that we are trying to hold on to?
Yes, and in fact, going back to the elections, so there's three major vendors for voting equipment. There's Dominion, ESS, and the HART system. Out of the 51 U.S. counties that have over 1 million people, 25 uses ESS. That's almost 50%.
You're glitching a little bit.
Only 19. So there's 25 out of the 51.
Okay.
19 uses Dominion. So there's proof out there that ESS is probably a better system, right? And the people at Dominion, the people who sit on the county supervisors right now, they'll tell you that Dominion is perfect. It's unhackable, it's unbreachable. You can't break into it. Well, the Pentagon has been breached before. It's been hacked before. So
right.
Unless
but Dominion's better than the Pentagon.
Exactly. So we have to cut machines out of our elections completely. There is a way to do that. If people talk about, one day, one vote, precinct level. If you look at the precincts here in Maricopa County, which is the largest populated county in Arizona, fourth largest populated county in America, the largest precinct in Maricopa County has like maybe 7,200 people. And even 7,200 people is very doable for one day precinct level voting. If you have, say, 10, 12, 15 voting locations within that district or that precinct, spread out for 7,000 people, I think you can do that in a 12-hour, 15-hour voting day. It's very doable. Will we get the numbers that day? That might take a day or two, but it's very, very foreseeable that we can do a day one vote here in Maricopa County without machines, all hand counted. That's a lot of counting for 4.5 million people. I understand that, but we're talking about our freedoms, and if a group of people, on both sides, Democrat, Republican, Libertarians, all the political parties can't sit together and count votes, then freedom's not really worth having. So, but I know we're better than that. I know that we take our freedoms very seriously. So I know there's people out there that want to do this thing right. But right now, the right way is not having a machine count our votes. A machine can be hacked. It can be programmed to count, different things other than the right thing. And for those who says we need machines, freedom's on the line. And I tell you, it scares me that if Republicans don't, keep the state house and state legislators here in Arizona, or across the nation, 24 might be our last chance.
Yeah.
Because you guys know, if the Democrats keep control, they're just going to be putting a lot of things. Illegals can vote, felons can vote, and who are they going to vote for? They're going to vote for the party that gives them those freedoms to do. They're going to keep those in power, and we're not going to have a chance to win any other. There won't be any fair elections, so we're not going to be able to win fair elections. So that's what's at stake with our current election system here in Arizona.
You brought something up. So talking about what Democrats are doing to our country, just heard on news yesterday that the governor of Illinois is going to allow non-U.S. citizens to become law enforcement officers. Now, I didn't say undocumented. I said non-U.S. citizens to be law enforcement officers. So that I just had to say that. Okay. And I'm done with that. But I want to go back to one of the things, Rob, that I would be extremely careful of. If people like you say, we're going to get rid of the machine that can be an error, that can cause errors and mislead our judge, our why am I having trouble saying it? Make the count not right.
Right.
Then they can use that machine to make sure you don't get voted on this coming election.
Exactly.
That's the scary thing.
It is. And, I've made it publicly known that, one of my priorities is to make Dominion and Runback go out of business here in Maricopa County. Now, you're absolutely right. Now, the people who control those machines, hook those machines up, they could program it to where no votes for me gets counted. And, that's a chance I'm going to take, but people need to speak out. People need to run for these positions, and if they're afraid to speak out on a topic while they're campaigning, are they worth being our politician or not?
Well, I wish there was a parallel system. Like, could you have the paper ballot
run through both machines?
Right. Or paper ballot goes to humans after it's been run through the machine. And then we compare the results or something like that. Because I keep thinking, when you've put all of your eggs in one system, and we can see how creative AI can be. There's deep fakes where it can look like, your Arnold Schwarzenegger singing a Over the Rainbow song, and the whole costume and everything. Like, when you look at what technology can do to fool us, and then to put so much trust in it with something as important as elections without a parallel backup system, it seems foolhardy to me. So I feel like you're on the right track. There will be people, I think, who try to just debunk you right out of the gate because they're just going to call you an election denier or, whatever the latest phrase is. But if they really listen to what you're saying, it's logical. It makes good sense. And I hope that people will see past their own, media-induced biases and blinders that if you say the word election, you get kicked off of YouTube. So,
right.
And
there have been reports, even on both sides of the news, very little, but there were reports where Dominion did have some issues. I mean, we saw this. So why not, why not satisfy? Just what's wrong with making the change? Just make the change. I know it costs money, but so does counting votes 15 times cost money. So just change it.
And the people that are watching and listening and going, wait a minute, I tuned into Gun Freedom Radio. Why are we talking about elections, Board of Supervisors in one county? Because this show is all over the world. And the reason it matters is because in our last election, we ended up in Arizona with a very anti-gun governor who has basically vetoed everything that gun advocates like myself worked for, including basically stop, drop, and roll, but for gun safety for kids. Like, who's going to veto teaching kids how to be safe around fire, right? That's the stop, drop, and roll.
Yep.
So fill in the word guns, firearms. What? That's all of a sudden the reason not to have a safety program? It's insanity. And so that is why it is so important what happens in our elections, because I'm not saying that the opponent, Kari Lake, would have been the greatest pro-gun person on the planet because she was untested. But if the votes really were in her favor, then, that would feel a lot different than somebody like me that looks at that and goes, wait a minute, the person who's sitting in the governor chair didn't debate, didn't come out and rally the, her base, didn't do anything. It feels wrong when Kari Lake had this huge surge of people that were showing up and supporting her and eager to vote for her. It just feels broken and wrong. And so it feels extra egregious to have this person sitting there.
Wasn't Katie Hobbs in charge of something before she was governor?
Yeah.
What was that? I can't.
Secretary of State, which
Secretary
what's the
of
civics
State
lesson on that?
Overall, all the counties, right? Yeah. She oversaw all the county elections. Yeah. Now, Tucker, so something's wrong with that picture.
Seems like
absolutely
she should have had to disavow, like, okay, this is a conflict of interest for me. I can't run for an office while I'm serving in this position. That feels really, really weird to me.
And I compare that to the new Supreme Court Justice Brown, the female who was a mother, but she couldn't tell us when life began, or is a female, but she can't explain or describe what female is. Yeah. Like, she should recuse herself from every ruling that has to do with abortion, pro-life, and difference between a man and woman, or these boys and girls bathrooms in our schools and public places. It's ridiculous. And go back to your point that Katie Hobbs never campaigned. It goes, Joe Biden did the same thing. Mm-hmm. He stayed in his basement for the whole campaign and got the most votes in history for president. I mean, I wish I could campaign like that. So, man.
So is it Rob? Is it a rumor, or were there more votes between the two than what were registered voters? I heard that there was more.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the total votes that Biden got and President Trump got, and you look at how many registered voters are in the county, there's in a nation, there's more of the counted votes than are registered voters here in the country. So, yeah, whether it's voter rolls that need to be cleaned up, dead people voting, one person voting 8 different times, it's the whole system's is messed up on all levels. City, county, national level. That needs a lot of work, and they should have been working on it since 2020, and they probably haven't been. So.
It's like you've got a leak in the bathroom and people are mad at you because you want to hire a plumber. It's the craziest thing to me. I can't even understand that. The logic train just keeps falling off the track. You know
what? You could serialize every single dollar bill that goes through our hands, but you can't serialize the voting sheet.
It's just a huge conundrum, right? Like, why can't we figure out how to do something that we've been doing for
Rob, let's just clean this stuff up. Why don't you and I just clean this up? Just
I'm with you.
Clean it up.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
A couple of brooms. I love it. All right, we are really coming close on time. I did want to touch on this. You are for implementing term limits for the people that serve on the MCBOS. Why is that a good pathway forward?
Well, I'm a big proponent of term limits for every elected office in the country, on all levels. I think there's offices that are more important than others. Let's look at Maricopa County. You know, we've already discussed that we run the state. Let's be honest. I feel like the state legislators are so afraid of the power that Maricopa County supervisors have that they won't challenge them on certain things. Right. And it's because of the power that the state legislators gave to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors that the current members think that they're untouchable. Right. So again, we are the national vote, right? So if the county supervisors have term limits like our state executives had, like our governor, secretary of state, attorney general, 3 of the 5 current would not be able to run in 2024. And why I believe in term limits is a seat as powerful as Maricopa County supervisors, a county that 4th largest county in America, has so much power within their state. I should not be able to sit there and for 30 years dictate what goes on in our county and basically dictate what goes on in our state. You know, the government wasn't meant to be like that. You know, I think Thomas Jefferson said if a political office ever became a career, corruption is sure to follow, or in some words like that. And one of the truest statements I ever heard, right? There's a lot of people. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, and you're seeking an office saying, please also put a term limit on me. I mean, I think that would speak to the integrity that you want to bring to the office. But I interrupted you and I apologize.
Oh, fine. That's fine, ma'am. One other thing about that, if the people really wanted to limit the power of Maricopa County supervisors, now we don't have to do this statewide. We can do this by individual counties. Senator J.D. Mesnard had a bill. It was SB 1498. It was in 2021. What it called for was the expansion of Maricopa County Board of Supervisors from 5 to 9. Now, what that did was you basically cut the representation in half of those 5 supervisors. So you do that, you take away half the power. You take away half the representation of a politician. You take away half their power. You couple that with term limits, no more than 2 4-year terms, and you know now we're getting back to an equal playing field with politicians that know they can't come to that office, sit in that seat for 30 years, become some of the richest people in America, which is ridiculous.
By the way.
Yes, ma'am. So I would be very pleased and very happy to get kicked out of my office after my 8th year as a county supervisor.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So I have one thing to say. One of the board of supervisors for it has egg on his face, and they never challenge him.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Cute choice of words.
Because he had some things that were in issue over the elections too.
Yes.
Well,
I'm stumbling with my words today because I'm super angry about the situation that we're in. And so I apologize that my words aren't coming out right. But when I saw that you were coming on the show today and I see that there's some hope that we can get this cleaned up, it does help. But I'm just angry because our elections, they're not right. They're just not right. And again, thank you for standing up to that and trying to do something to make our world a little better.
Thank you, sir. And I'll tell you that we all should be angry, and we all should be tripping over our words, because it's the most important thing of our life, our freedoms, right? And stolen elections, every time we have stolen elections, we lose more of our freedoms. And
that's true.
The Second Amendment is under attack. You take away our Second Amendment, we ain't got nothing to fight for the rest of our freedoms. So,
and speaking of that, speaking of our rights, and the other angry thing, I mean, I have commercial property and I have property, okay? I have houses and things like that. And I work my butt off to make this happen. And the government spends our money poorly and just says, well, we'll just tax more. We'll just take more. You know, somebody look at property tax on a commercial building in Maricopa County and look at the prices that they are. And you say, how is it? I mean, a friend of mine has a piece of property. He paid $780,000 for it. He pays $20,000 a year in taxes. Okay. It's in a rough area of town, $20,000 a year. And I think we are working our butts off. They are not being responsible for spending their money. So they need more money. And they just, well, we'll just take it from there. And so there's the two subjects that are on my list right now. Thank you for listening.
Yes, sir. If I could add one quick thing about the county budget and county taxes. I've listened to a lot of the episodes on your all show, and I listened to both of the Congressman Eli Crane's episodes, and he's former military, and he brought up the budgets in the military compared to budgets in civilian world. Right. And use it or lose it. Right. If I request a budget for $1 million and I only spend 800,000 of that in the military, my next year's budget is going to be 800,000.
Right.
So with us setting the county budget, I'm going to use that approach when 61 county departments and elected offices send in their requests for their annual budget that we give them. If they've stockpiled $40-50 million over a 10-year period and they're requesting $100 million, guess what? I'm going to say you're going to get 50 million. Couple that with the 50 million you already have on hand. That's your $100 million. What that will do is that will keep our county budget down, but that'll also eliminate really any chance of our county or our property taxes going up. We even actually be able to cut the property taxes, which I will give the county supervisors credit. They have been doing that for the last couple of years. They have decreased how much our property taxes cost. But as long as that number isn't 0.0, there's work to be done there. So
amen.
So yeah, I totally agree. Yes, ma'am. So the more money in our pockets, the happier everybody is. So.
Right. So you're a youngster, Rob. So I'll tell you, I'm going to pull the old age card. So let's say when Cheryl and I first got married 38 years ago.
Oh, you said it right.
We bought a house. We buy a house.
Ooh.
So we bought a house 38 years ago, and our payments was $1,100 a month. But time the 30 years that it takes to pay your mortgage off, and you're finally saying, we're free, right? The property taxes are almost that much a month.
Yeah.
It's how is that okay?
Then you're renting your house from the government every month or every year. It's crazy.
So anyway, that's my.
Well, I have one more question, and then we have to run and close the show, unfortunately, because I do feel like we could talk.
Don't feel like we're beating up on you, Rob, because you have answers. Okay.
Oh, I try to get it out there, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I just kind of want to give our audience, our listeners and our viewers, a sense of why and how your previous careers have and experiences have positioned you to be the best person for the job you're seeking as a Maricopa County Board of Supervisor.
Yeah, people beat me up that I'm not from here. I'm not from Arizona. I've spent 20 years in the military. I've moved around a lot of places. My wife is actually from Glendale, she's from Phoenix. We met in Washington, D.C. when I was working over there. She was a naval officer at the Naval Yard. So we moved back down here in January of 21. And I think that actually works in my favor because everybody keeps talking about the establishment here or the McCain elites down here in Arizona. I'm not connected to any of those people. So I'm not going to be a guy that's going to be bought off or to look the other way to make sure that my buddy gets hooked up on, a good idea, a good plan. I'm not that guy. If you want to buy off a politician, don't come my way. because you're not going to. I spent a lot of time in special forces. I consider myself to be a tough guy, physically, emotionally, mentally. But again, I look at my children's future and it scares me to death. So that's why I'm going to fight. I've fought on the battlefields of Iraq. I've been to communist countries before. I know what it's like. And I can honestly sit here and tell you that we're on a fast track to becoming one of those countries. And, you know, I've been that guy that the buck stops there with. You know, I've been that guy on the front line, stood on a hill, even if I stand on it by myself and my beliefs. And I feel like I'm the best guy for this job because I do have integrity. I do want to bring back the trust that the people have in the Maricopa County Supervisors. Yeah, so I'm just, you know, I'll never lie to the people, no matter how hard the truth hurts me. I'll never lie to the people. I'll always be honest. I'll always be transparent. Transparency and honesty are the two things that we want from our politicians. And that's what I'm going to give to the people who vote me into office. That's what I'm going to give to everybody in Maricopa County, whether Democrat, Republican, Independent. I'm that guy. I'm that guy to steer Maricopa County back in the right direction.
Very good. Well, thank you again for your previous service, your continued service, and with any luck at all, your future service to the state of Arizona.
How do they follow you, Rob?
Absolutely.
Thank you, man. Yes, sir. You can go to my website. It's REC4 MCBOS. And you can also follow me at Twitter, the same handle, REC4 MCBOS. Go to my website, give you my whole life history, all my experiences, you know, people I worked for. You can donate, you can sign up to, you know, make phone calls. You know, the one thing I hate more than anything in this world, and I'd rather have another kidney stone than ask anybody for $5.
No, right? It's horrible. Hate fundraising.
But yes, I wish I was a millionaire. I could do it all on my own. The fact is, the incumbent, he's very well connected. He comes from a very big family business here in the Valley. He's got deep pockets, and I'm gonna have some deep pockets and a lot of donations. So please, $5, $10, $20 donations will go a long way to get my name across the whole Valley. So those are the two places you can find me most.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again.
Like I said, he's got egg on his face, so you probably can beat him pretty easily.
Yes, he does.
Thank you again so much.
I hope so,
and we'll check back with you and see how it's going. When is the election?
Awesome. The election is every time the president election is. So the primaries in August and of 24 and the generals in November. So
very good.
So we're ready.
We'll need to pay attention.
Rob, we'd like to have you on the show again. Maybe we get a better connection.
Yes,
and so we'll be getting in touch with
yes,
you,
sir.
okay?
All right. Thank you so
All
much.
right, sir.
We'll
Sounds
talk
good.
soon.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. God bless.
Thank you.
Tough job. You know?
Yes. And yeah, his connection was a little glitchy because he was at work
Yep.
and at his place of employment. It's just tough to get a signal, and I just appreciate him taking the time. And I thought we'll just power through because I think it's clear enough.
Right.
The sound is clear enough.
So the message we're trying to say is that we need a new Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. The election's coming up in when our next presidential election is, and that there's big concerns that there's some integrity issues with the voting. So support somebody that wants to make a change that will make the elections fair.
Absolutely. And I don't know, it's just everything about the last couple of elections and just even the attitude of the Board of Supervisors. There was such a haughtiness, such a defensiveness, such a we're going to talk down to you as we look over our noses at you, that it has completely, even if everything they said, the words, every word they said was absolutely true. Everything about the messenger and the way that they said it has just, it's got my hackles up and it's got my spidey senses tingling. And I just don't.
And you're a bad person for questioning. How dare you question me?
Right.
How dare you?
And we're business owners, we're parents, we're grandparents.
I have to answer to everything constantly. Oh my gosh. If you guys want to hear a story, I could get my daughter and my wife on the radio here and we could really have a story because I am questioned. Double questioned. I'm trying to count. In tandem,
right? In stereo.
37 times a day.
And if you.
But it's good. It's good, healthy.
Yeah. If you're secure in what you have done, then there is a way that you say it, like, oh, no, I understand why you would ask that. And I see what you're saying, and here are the answers, rather than, the other thing that I feel like we've gotten from.
And just like our voters know something's wrong, when you question me on the 47 things, if I don't show it straight, right? You just know. And now you want to dig into the evidence and find out why. Yeah. How dare you? How dare you question me, Cheryl?
Right. Yeah,
how dare it?
That just makes me get out my little pick and my little shovel because I want to go mining now.
And so
I'm mining for that answer.
We all have a right to question and get an answer that is correct. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you so much to our guest, Rob Canterbury. He reached out to me and I'm so glad he did. This was a fun and informative interview. I love to give a microphone to people who are citizens who are stepping into that arena. And I mean, that is a huge snake pit. And so I like to help them tell their side of why they would, do that to their lives. Thank you so much to our amazing listeners all over the world, and especially people that you're like, well, I live in a different country. How is this important and interesting to me? And yet you tune in because there are some universal nuggets of truth that our subject matter experts bring to the airwaves. And thank you so much for tuning in and then bringing these conversations into your personal lives.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Vote for Rob Canterbury for the MCBOS so we can stop it being the MCPOS.
Oh, don't fill in those blanks. No, don't do that.
Is that right though?
It is true.
Is there whenever
I hear POS, I think point of sale because we're in the
I'm not talking about
retail business.
I'm not talking. Those who know.
That's true. Wink. Okay, so I thanked everybody. If you want to go back and watch this video or any of our videos, go to YouTube if they don't kick us off because we talked about elections. Gunstreamer, any of those platforms, please subscribe and hit the notifications button because that tells those platforms that you value this information and gives us a little hedge from being shut down, canceled, whatnot. If you want to listen to the audio only version, go to our website, GunFreedomRadio.com. Click the on demand tab and
binge listens to your heart content, darling.
If you want to see the photos and bios of all of the guests we've ever had on, it is a growing resource. Click the guest tab, and we do not hate it when you spend time there.
No, we don't.
All right, until next time, we are going to
pray for our nation.
We are also going to
pray for our leaders.
What about the ones that we're a little frustrated with?
I got to revise on that one. You only have so many prayers in a day. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take the ones that I don't like, and I'm going to pray for the ones that I want to get in office.
Yeah, you still got to pray for the ones you don't like.
I thought I had an angle here.
No.
You're always one step ahead.
Especially the ones you don't like. I think they
can we pray for the ones that are trying to get in office to do good?
Yeah, we want that too. All right. Until next time, be good to each other. Have a great week and God bless.
Bye-bye.